Hello and welcome, hello friends here. Today we are going to do some office yoga. Some of you may be working from home, and that's okay. You can do any of this there as well. So we're going to look at some of the repetitive movements that we do while we're at the office that we want to counteract, and then do some stuff to help us gear up in the morning before we go to work and relax at night before bed after a nice long day at work. So, usually, we tend to hold some tension in the neck and shoulders, or we have wrist issues, too much typing while we're looking at our screen. Maybe you even kind of slouch a little bit or a lot. Um, we don't move our feet enough when we're sitting in a desk all day, so we tend to um, maybe get swollen feet even. Sorry, technology issues. Um, and then sitting all day is really not great for the spine, as you probably already know. Um, so, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get started. So, we're going to start with the neck first. But before we do that, let's go ahead and just take a moment to check in with body. Maybe noticing where you're holding on to tension today. And if you want, you can close your eyes. Notice where you're feeling that tension. And let's take a moment to breathe into the tension. So we're going to inhale, direct the breath to the tension. And with the exhale, scoop that tension out and let it go. And maybe take one more breath here. And if you've closed your eyes, you can flutter the eyelids open. And let's start moving that neck. So sometimes we spend too much time with the chin tucked down, maybe on your phone, or if your laptop's too low, you need to bring that head back over that neck. So let's move it first, and then we'll talk about good alignment for the head and neck. So starting with an inhale, finding a gaze straight ahead, inhale. On the exhale, we're going to drop the chin down towards the chest, going just as far as is comfortable. We're going to inhale, looking up, just as far as is comfortable. Exhale, bring it back down. And exhale and inhale through the nose. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, bring it all the way back down. And again, inhale. And exhale. Let's inhale back to center. And then we're going to go side to side. So we'll take another inhale here. On the exhale, we're going to bring the left ear to the left shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale, right ear, right shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left, just as far as is comfortable. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. Inhale back to center one more time each side. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, center. Beautiful. Okay, so our last two movements with the neck are going to be a twist. So we're going to start looking straight ahead, and as we exhale, our gaze is going to follow the line around to the left, back to center, and then over towards the right. And we're going to move with the breath. So here we go. So we'll inhale. On the exhale, turning and looking towards the left shoulder. Inhale back to center. Again, going just as far as is comfortable. Exhale to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. Inhale back to center. One more time each side. Exhale left. Inhale center. Exhale to the right. Inhale back to center. Excellent. From here, let's move down to the shoulders. So that's another area where we can build up a lot of bad habits and tension. I just noticed mine was a little tight. All right, so let's move the shoulders. We're going to move with the breath. So we're going to inhale, shoulders come up. Exhale, down and back. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, down and back. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, down. Nice. And then when you're ready, let's reverse direction. So we're going to inhale back and forward with the exhale. Inhale, back and up. Exhale, down and forward. Excellent. And maybe a couple more times, either direction or simply straight up and down. Excellent. All right, so let me talk about the alignment for the head and then we'll move down to some small joints. All right, so in the neck here, right up here under the chin, is our hyoid bone. And it's a little horseshoe shaped bone that fits right in there and it helps with our swallowing. And we're going to picture where that is up in there. You can look it up later if you are trying to not do some work. Google it. All right, so we're going to imagine that somebody is pulling reins, like horse reins, back. So this bone goes back behind us. And then when you hit that base of the skull, you're going to pull up. So sitting like this, when you pull back and up, that sets the head where it should be on the neck and spine. That's a big, heavy thing, and if it's forward all the time, you're going to feel that in your back. All right, so that's your homework for later when you have some time. Take a mental break when you're working too hard. All right, so let's move to the wrists. So we're going to extend the arms out in front of us, tuck the thumbs, wrap the fingers around. We're going to make circles around with the wrist. And then maybe reverse direction. And then maybe you like to move them independently. Not very easy. And then let's get into the elbows and the shoulders, making bigger circles. Excellent. And release that. Let's go ahead and bring the palms together. And we're going to interlace the fingers and make figure eights. Excellent. And then let's pause for a moment and release the hands away from each other. Switch which fingers on top. Excellent. And then release that, shake that out. Let's extend this right arm out and careful not to overextend. We don't want to hyperextend that joint. Then we're going to bring the fingers gently back towards the shoulder and thumb down towards the floor. So if you have a tendency to do this a lot, then you might not like that one as much. We'll do the other side and then I'll give you another one to try that you might like better. So extend this left arm out. We're going to bring the fingers back towards the shoulder and thumb down towards the floor. And then If your hands are like this all the time, that might not be comfortable, but I tend to do this more often, so I don't do this as much. But here, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to take the left hand, fingers point towards the floor as far as is comfortable. And then with the right hand, we're going to do opposing forces. So I'm pushing my left hand into my right and my right hand into my left. So that's going to open up this area on the back of the forearm there. Excellent. And then the other side, bending the right fingers down towards the floor. I'm going to push that right hand into the left hand into the right hand. You can feel this space right up here opening up. Excellent. And shake it out. All right, so on other videos that I have, I've done the finger slides. So I'm not gonna do that right now. I'll show you just really quick. That's something you can do at your desk. Finger and thumb start together. Inhale, thumb slides down, exhale, and you can flick or press and release or just release. You can do each finger multiple times all the way. You can do both hands at the same time. It's a great way when you're not doing anything else with your hands to calm the body. All right, so let's move down to the ankles here. So if you sit a lot and your feet are on the floor and you don't pay attention to them, they might get a little stiff. Or if you wear bad shoes, which you probably all do at some point. All right, so for the ankles, and you can stay in your chair and do this, or if you have a space on the floor and you want to do that, just to move the body around. All right, so since we're in a chair, we're just going to start by coming up towards the front of the chair a little bit more. Get my feet in. There we go. Okay. So we're going to point and flex. And if you can take your socks and shoes off or just your shoes off and do this, great. If you can't, you can still move them. So point and flex. And so the breath with this is extending is our inhale, flexing is our exhale. So inhale, exhale. Very nice. And then from here, let's see about some other things. We'll make circles around with the ankles. Excellent. And then bringing the soles of the feet towards each other and then away from each other. So this is towards the center line, tops of the feet towards the center. I'm trying not to move my whole leg while I'm doing this. This is easier on the floor, I think, to keep the leg from moving too much. I'm moving all the way up in my hip here. Excellent. And then we're going to finish with our windshield wipers, which maybe put the heels down. That might be a little easier. So this motion, when you're seated on the floor, you can feel that internal and external rotation of that hip. Not as much when you're seated in a chair, but if you get a chance to try this later or if you're on the floor now, see if you can external rotation, internal rotation. Feels good either way. Awesome. Okay. Shake it out. All right, so we are seated in a chair all day, every day, too long. Or maybe you're more of a couch potato and you just want to do this because you want to move, because you're stuck at home and need something to do. So because we tend to, all right, so that's sitting up tall. We tend to kind of dump into the hips and maybe around the back a little bit. So we've got that dumping posture. So to counteract that, we're going to do our cow to neutral spine. So we're not going to go all the way through. So we'll start in neutral. This is our neutral. And on the inhale, we're going to look up towards the ceiling. And we're bringing that curve of the spine so it's more like that. So, and you don't have to go this far. Just start at neutral and then look up towards the ceiling, going just as far as is comfortable. This is our inhale. Exhale back, just to neutral. Inhale, looking up. That's our cow. Exhale back to neutral. All right. So that's a couple. You can do that anytime. If you're waiting on hold or somebody's on the phone with you and you just need to move a little bit. You feel that all the way down in the legs, maybe. All right, so our next one, we're going to move this side body. Let's see where we're at with that. Okay, so if you're seated in a chair and you want to do this, we're going to bring the hand that stays down on to the side of the chair. This way, and not hit the table. Okay, so let's start with this left hand on the side of the chair. I inhale this right arm up. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, left arm comes up. Exhale, bring it back. So if you have an arm on your chair, you can still do this. Just have this arm on here and then bring this up here. We can adjust for a lot of things here. All right, so after you do both sides, we're going to take and pause in one and do an extra breath. So we'll inhale this right arm up, and then we're going to pause here, and let's take an extra breath. See if you can breathe from those right fingers all the way down to that right hip. And then release. Inhale this other side. And then let's take another breath here. Inhale from those left fingers all the way down to that left hip. Exhale, up and out. Beautiful. All right. So after we do something like that, that's a asymmetrical pose. Let's come back to a symmetrical spine. We're going to go all the way through with our cat and cow. So you want to be forward enough on the chair so you can bend back. So let's start with an exhale this time. We're going to exhale, round the spine, tuck the chin. Inhale, rounding up, looking up. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, rounding up, looking up. Exhale, back. So you can break this down and do a couple of things at any one time. You don't have to do all of this at once. But it's nice to have a couple of tools in your back pocket to pull out when you get tired or you're feeling stiff. It's nice to move. All right, one more direction for our seat here. So we're going to take, and we're not going to go too far. We're going to take this right hand and come over to the left knee. Left hand can come on the back of your chair. So that's our exhale, inhale back to center. Take an inhale here. Exhale, coming to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. Inhale back to center. And that was another pose that we wanted to counter. So we'll do our cat and cow again. So exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Excellent. All right. From here, let's come into, I actually have an illustration here. So because I'm at the office, so we're gonna do some more explaining. All right, so we're gonna come in and do some back heart alignment. So this is what I'm talking about. It's hard to imagine on your own back because you can't see it. So what we've got here is this is the shoulder blade, left side, right side. And what we want to do is soften the shoulder blades out on the top and in on the bottom, kind of like I have a clothespin and I'm pinching the bottom two together down here and then softening away on the top. All right, I'm going to put this right there so you can see that. And then I'm going to show you something that you can do when you go to the kitchen if you're working from home or the kitchen in the office if you have one. So this is a little low for what I'm talking about, but we're just going to imagine that it's a regular kitchen countertop height. So we're going to bring the body up close to it, and then we're going to bring the fingers underneath that lip of the counter. And as you are pulling up, we're going to do this on the back. So we're going to pull those shoulder blades towards each other on the bottom points, and the tops soften away towards the shoulders. So exhale and release, and then try it again. Inhale. Exhale, release. And again, one more. Inhale. And exhale. Nice. All right. So while we are standing up here, I would recommend, maybe not right now, but at some point get outside, get some fresh air. We want to keep our immune system strong, so we want to get some exercise. The next thing that I want to show you is, so I just sat for how many minutes? 22 minutes. So I've been sitting that whole time. When we're at work all day, we're sitting for hours, 7, 8 hours, 10, I don't know, however many hours you're sitting. So when we're sitting, we have this shortening and this getting tight in here sometimes. Not everybody does everything. But what we want to do is get this to open up this way so that we're stretching out the front of the body and those hip flexors that are getting tighter and shorter all the time because we sit too much. All right, so while we're standing, this is a little bit of a balance too. And we're going to start with this right foot. We're going to plant that on the floor. You can hold on to a chair or a wall if that chair is not, if it's on wheels and it's going to fall or make you fall. So I'm just going to bring my left foot back and I'm looking straight ahead and I'm going to start looking up towards the ceiling. So this front flexion, this is our extension back here. We're sitting in flexion all the time, so we want to extend that back. Excellent. And then go to the other side, step that right foot back, and then looking up towards the ceiling. Excellent. And then bring it back. So that's something you can do when you're just taking a break. If it's comfortable and you want to try it, you can do both. Hold on to the chair or the wall. And we're going to send the hips towards and the shoulders back. So it's a little bit of a back bend, so just be careful with that. All right, one more thing with the chair. We're going to do a forward fold in our chair. So at the end of the day, when you're ready to go home, bring the feet out a little bit. Hands are on the legs, starting at the knee, and we're just going to exhale. Don't hit your head on your desk. Coming down as far as is comfortable. And then on the inhale, bring the hands back up and just keep them on the legs. Let's do that a couple of times. Feels great. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, back up. Exhale down. Inhale, back up. Excellent. All right. So that's some stuff that you can do when you are sitting in your chair too much, working super hard. I'm going to give you a couple of things to do in the morning when you wake up before work, and a couple of things to do um, at night when you get home or before bed, whichever works for you. All right. So the first, let's start with the morning. All right. So I'm going to come down onto the floor and show you a couple of things to do in the morning. All right. And you can do this before you even get out of bed. You can do it while you're in bed. All right. Okay. So we're going to start with hands on the knees. Knees are pointed up towards the ceiling, or sorry, feet are up towards the ceiling. Knees are comfortable here, hands on the knees. And just exhale, bring the knees in. Inhale, release. Exhale, knees in. Inhale, release. All right, you can do that a couple of times. If it's more comfortable, you can bring the knees away from each other. Same idea, that might give you a little bit more space behind the neck and in that lower back. Excellent. And then from here, we're going to lift the arms up and the feet up. And you just be here. Or if your headboard is in the way, scooch down and then bring the arms all the way up. You bend the knees, hands to knees. Inhale, arms up, feet up, or arms all the way over. Do that a couple times. Beautiful. And then let's do a couple of moving bridge poses. Tuck the heels. Knees and hips are all lined up. Inhale, arms come up, hips come up. Exhale, arms down, hips down. Excellent. And then just to come back to symmetrical, we'll do the Apanasana a couple of times. Very nice. All right. And then getting up and going to work. All right. So then go to work, do all your stuff, come home. Or if you're working from home, then when you're done working, come in and get ready for the end of the day. So let's start with I'm going to come up. We'll start this. So to counteract that sitting too much, I'm going to come into a squat. So if you haven't done this, or it's been a while, and your heels don't come all the way down to the floor, that's okay. They don't have to. But what you can do to work on that, if you want, is rest your feet on a blanket or a towel rolled up. And we're just going to come down and we're just going to work on this every day. Do it for a few moments. And then maybe you come down lower. And then we're going to push the elbows into the knees, palms together. And this isn't our squat. We want that nice tall spine. Take a couple breaths here. If you don't need the blanket, you can move it out of the way after you come up. Don't try and pull it out while you're down here. All right, and then when you're ready, inhale, come back up. Excellent. All right. So you can do the that bridge pose we just did. You can do that a couple times. Another great one is our child's pose. So bring the big toes together, knees are out nice and wide. And you can bring your head down onto a block. And just feel the release in the spine. If that's not comfortable, to come down onto the heels. You can come into the puppy pose version. So the hips are up, the knees are closer together, and the forehead comes down. And this is a good one to let all of the tension of the day release out the top of the head into the earth and just let it go. All right, I'm going to give you one more on the floor and then I'll show you legs up the wall. Okay, so this one is also good for the front of the body, and it's if you can do it for longer than a breath or two, we're getting into relaxing a deep inner muscle, the one that's connecting from middle of the spine all the way down to the top of your leg bone. So that's an important for people to be vertical. So when we're sitting all day, we're not being vertical. So what we're going to do is if you have a block or roll up a blanket if a block is too uncomfortable. So we're going to come and lay down on the floor. All right. I'm going to come up into that bridge pose so we can slide the block under the hips or the blanket if that's more comfortable. I think you might be able to see better with the block. All right, and then from here, I'll do my left leg first. I'm going to extend this left leg out so you can maybe see that this is a little bit of a back bend, and I'm opening up this hip flexor. So if you want to build a little strength with this, you can lift that leg up off the floor and kind of hover or make like little circles, or you can just let it rest and stretch. So however long is comfortable, you just want to do it evenly from side to side. And then I'm going to switch here and extend the right leg out. And again, if you hovered and made little circles on the left side, do it on the right side. I want this to be even. And then release, or so we do this for a bit. Excellent. All right, then to come out, we're going to lift up with the hips, slide the block out, and then come down nice and slow. And let's do a little Apanasana for our counter pose. Excellent. Let's bring the feet down to the mat. And then to finish off for the evening before bed, we're going to come into legs up the wall. So a couple of options here. If you have a block at home or a rolled up blanket works almost as well. You can do legs up the wall without the wall. I'll do that sideways, actually, just to show you. So we're going to come up on the block. So we want to get the block underneath so that it's mostly comfortable. If it's not comfortable, then it's probably not in the right spot. So the top of the block is at the top of the pelvis. And then bringing the feet up towards the ceiling. And this can be your legs up the wall without the wall. You're getting the same benefits. It's a little bit more active because you have to keep the legs up when you're against the wall. The wall does all the work. So you can stay here for a little bit. You can also do the legs up the wall just flat without being up on something, and you can also do legs up the wall without anything either. So the easiest way, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this with the AED machine here, but what you want to do is come sideways up to the wall and then come down onto one side, and then you can swing the legs up, and then the back of the body is already next to the wall, and then the arms come out to the side, and you can stay here as long as you like. And when you're ready to come down, which doesn't have to be now, you can stay up as long as you like, rolling over onto one side or the other. And then just for a moment here, let's take a couple of breaths. So find a comfortable seated position, or if you stayed with your legs up the wall, you can just stay like that. That's totally fine. Sit up nice and tall, or extend the legs nice and tall. Just take a breath or two. When you're ready, you can bring your hands together, hands to the heart. I wish you a nice and peaceful, relaxing day at the office. Namaste.